podcasts for dinner.
Yeah, man. I guess that will serve as the clap sync.
Yeah, I told Leo that's how I want to start the episodes.
That's sick.
Just doing that.
Yeah, I didn't even. As soon as you did it, I was like, that'll do that. That'll get that job done.
Are you getting like a little
Yeah.
robotic?
It's like it's as if there's like some software monitoring.
Yeah.
Mute the tracks.
Yeah. Let me get this guy out of the way. This is what I need Gabriel for.
If you just like hit mute, it should take care of that, I believe. Hey, yeah, exactly. And we're still recording and we're getting level. Yes.
Yes.
Very
Sick.
nice.
Dope. Two producers. Or one actual producer and a guy who pretends to make music.
Two producers.
Well, thanks for coming, man.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. This is pretty sick. It's cool to have the microphones and the headphones.
Yeah.
And
I can't really hear you in my headphones.
Really, eh?
But
maybe I'm just hearing myself. I actually don't think I hear myself.
We're getting some level, so.
But we got me.
So.
We don't need more of my voice. It's already
man.
a lot of it. But to the Flat 5 audience, thank you guys for watching. This is the beginning of 2023. The
rock and roll.
Third year, I think.
Nice.
I don't think I did it in 2020. But, I mean, hey, if somebody knows better than me, put that shit in the comments, please.
Well, thank you for having me, and I'm stoked to be on the flat five, like the flat 5 and the sharp 4, like the best chord. You know what I mean? The best chord, and I guess also
The Simpsons.
Yeah, that's right. So if we had a keyboard, that'd be sick.
You know what?
Harmony, but
I've been thinking about it where I'm like, I want to start to incorporate that more. Because like originally this started off as me just like assessing songs, like giving my 2 cents.
Right.
Without being Fantano. Because
Okay.
I'm like, we don't need another one of those. And I'm like, I'm not smart enough to be Adam Neely.
Right. Do you know fuck, what's his name? Jack Conti, the Wolfpack dude. I think he has also a show that analyzes music. I'm trying to remember what it's called.
He probably does.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of like musicians that play like the like post-secondary kid jazz music also have those like talk shows.
Right.
You know?
Did you know that he is the CEO of Patreon?
What?
Yeah.
Really?
I didn't know that. Yeah.
I thought. Really?
Yeah. The Wolfpack dude. It's crazy.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Because I remember somebody, or maybe I'm thinking of PayPal. I don't know. There was like one of those like internet guys, like the Mark Cubans or whatever,
right,
that like owned something before and then sold it off, and they sold it for like millions of dollars.
Right.
But he's just the CEO of Patreon.
Yeah.
That's still gnarly though.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Fucking ripping musician.
Yeah.
And like here for the community.
And
amazing.
in the biz.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Good for that guy, man.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's a conversation I was having with probably more than one person recently in the last like 6 months, that it's important for anybody, I think, today in the creative industry, like art, dance, film, music, you know, even graphic design, separate from like painted physical art, to have more than one like revenue stream that isn't necessarily just your creations that you make. Yeah. Like everybody's got, for the most part, like a day job until you've like done it enough where you don't, which is like, that's a huge, to me, that's a great milestone in the artist world. Yeah. Like you can work doing the thing that you want to do and not have to get a day job. Nice. You don't have to be like a waitress or a barista or anything like that. Like,
but it's like, you have to do that. Like, unless you're very lucky and like, or come from like a family that's very understanding and is willing to support you, you kind of have to do that because you have to pay for your career. Yeah. You know?
You got to invest in it. I mean, like there's a lot of people that have like the garage, like warehouse, you know what I mean? Like they're making all of like whatever product like in their garage. Like I started my business in my garage kind of thing. You still have a day job.
Yeah.
But then you come home from that and it's 6 o'clock and you got to invest another 4 hours.
Yeah.
And then at 10 o'clock you watch Netflix or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that was my life. That was my life for the duration of the time that I had a full-time job.
What was your full-time job?
I was working at Long McQuaid.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I was managing the rental department there.
Nice.
And I would come home, and most days I would go straight to the studio. I might like take an hour, have some food, and just chill, and then I would go downstairs and just work till like 2, 3.
Yeah.
And then get up and go to work and do it all over again every day. And then at a certain point, it's like, if you can, for me, it was COVID that helped me make that jump, because I had also the help of Serb.
Right.
But you need to pay for your career, and as like until your career can pay you.
Yeah.
And it's like a lot of artists kind of get down on the money thing, and it makes sense. But like if you think about it, any like specialized career that you want to do, like whether it's music, whether it's being a producer, being an artist, being a doctor or lawyer, if you want to have a restaurant, like you got to spend so much money and so much time and so much energy getting those things off the ground.
Right.
And then and you're not entitled for your entrepreneurial endeavor to work out. You're not entitled to that. And a lot of artists, I feel like, have that, whether it's a conscious thought or not. I feel like a lot of the way some artists and creatives talk about money is in the sense that like you have to support me, and like because I'm a starving artist, and it's like, well, you're not entitled to that. You're not entitled for it to work out. Just like if I open a restaurant, I'm not entitled for it to survive.
If I open a restaurant, it's shit food.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you, hey, eat my garbage food.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
It's true.
Yeah. So like, you need to figure out a way to keep it afloat until it will float you. Right.
Yeah.
So, I don't know where we came from, but, talking about day jobs and talking about.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, the day jobs and everything prior, like I just like creatives having like more than one sort of
right. And
stream.
even when you are like, I am very fortunate to be earning my living from, what I'm doing, but it's like mainly record production. But on top of that, like taking gigs on the side, doing some extra audio work, and recently like crafting shows and like attending rehearsals and making sure like the band that whether I'm producing the act or not, like the band is all like tight on stage and that their performance looks great. So that's another revenue stream for me. So it's production, gigs, that side, like the show stuff, royalties and all that doesn't really count. Like you might get a nice check here and
there. It
there.
really comes in, That's the thing too. Like I was talking to one of my friends about like why artists deserve more from streams, and I understand the argument. I just feel like that like today's generation, and I'm not speaking from a place of experience because like I'm 23, like I didn't grow up in the 80s.
Very mature for 23. I'll say that.
Thank you, man.
Especially from all the conversations we've had. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. The thought that I have is, it's a very, very wide net, and there's so much devil's advocacy in streaming versus physical copies. And I think of it this way, like if I was a music consumer in the 90s, like an 18-year-old kid, minimum wage was, arbitrarily speaking, $9.
Sure.
Think of inflation over the course of 30 years. Let's say it's $15.50 now, whatever it is. Let's say it was $9 flat back then. Records and CDs, let's say they costed me $10, right? I'm not going to blow a week's paycheck on CDs when I, as an individual who's not a musician but a music fan, enjoys music. Whereas now I can spend the equivalent of 1 hour's worth of pay for a month to have total access to all music. Because of that, now that I have access to it, I can enjoy a lot more music for way cheaper. Like just on a quantitative basis, there's just so much. Like we're talking from the 1700s to 2023, like yesterday's Friday releases, the Lil Yachty album. I don't have to pay $25 a CD to listen to that record. It's
crazy, honestly. Yeah.
And my thing is, it's like, okay, what do you want out of it? Do you want a like album contract with a label where you're going to produce all of these CDs, but it's going to cost you way more money, a lot more money rather to be grammatically coherent, to produce these physical copies and hope that people purchase them so you break even? Or do you just have your same production costs, if not cheaper, and then you just have distribution costs? Like, you don't, there's this whole other step that's a very expensive step that's no longer there. And because that expensive step isn't there, there isn't the potential reward to make as much, you know? And so I'm like, pick your poison, pick your battle. Do you spend way more money to produce CDs,
physical products,
and hopefully make it back, or do you have minimal costs and find your revenue elsewhere? And I think that's one of the reasons why like multiple revenue streams is important. It's like, for me in the last 2 years, I've been really taking voice, bass, piano, and guitar seriously on the performative sense, like not just like the ability to teach at the beginner to intermediate level. Like I can read music for days, no problem. You know what I mean? Like I can, like, what does 8 VA mean on top of the staff versus the bottom of the staff? Like that isn't an anomaly to me, but like the performative sense of it, being able to be a session musician on those instruments, I'm like, why would I just solely exist as a drummer when I also play all these instruments? Why don't I just improve and now be available for all of these gigs? Right? Because drummers are, like, in my opinion, good musicians in general are hard to come by. I'm fortunate enough that I've had the compliment of like, good drummers are hard to come by. I'm like, well, if you just look harder or increase your budget, then they're not hard to find. Right. You know, but I'm like, why don't I just increase my ability to be available in this industry? You know,
it's very smart. And it'll make you a better drummer too.
Big time.
It'll make you better at all the things. Like when I started playing piano, immediately I was a better guitar player. Or like once I started to understand the piano, because the piano, it's like, it's a linear, you understand
very horizontal music.
Yeah,
big time.
You know, it's not just piano, you understand music.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's refreshing to meet a drummer that is proficient on other instruments and that can talk about theory. Like you're the only drummer that I've met that we can talk about, you know, a sharp 4.
Really?
And we can talk about some chord changes, and we can talk about voicings, like we were talking about at Fam Jam the other night.
Fam Jam Tuesday night, yeah. They're just like talking about like where that sits. Like,
we were talking about voicing dominant chords, and like I said, like, I don't know, G minor 6 with the E natural instead of the E flat.
Yeah.
Whatever, you know, but like I can't talk to another. I can't talk to a drummer about that stuff. Actually, my good friend Manny, who you met that one time who came from Texas.
Yeah, the Texas man. Yeah. Shout out to Manny if he's listening to that. That's a really great dude, man. You guys awesome. Were friends for a long time.
Yeah. We were friends from high school.
True.
I'm actually going to Texas in a couple of weeks to go visit him. So.
Oh, wicked. Yeah. I hope you have a good trip. It seems like a great place.
Yeah. Well, I have no idea what to expect. I'm just going to, see my friend, and I'll let him show me around. Yeah. But we really connected like in high school, and then in university. Like I studied composition, and Manny was also like really like interested. So like after I'd come home from a lecture, I would just get on like a call, and we would just talk about the stuff. And it would be also like kind of like I was teaching, but it was just more like sharing. But the more you teach and the more you talk about, the further you like solidify the information for yourself.
100%.
Which I found. But anyways, the point is, like, you and Manny are the only drummers that I know that I can talk about theory with. Everybody else, man. Thank you. Yeah, I know it's impressive. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny that you made a point just there about when you learn something from a lecture and then just chat with a friend, you feel like you're teaching because you're sort of running the ideas that you just heard, and you're almost regurgitating them, but you've actually processed them.
Or you are processing them.
Yeah,
you know?
in real time.
Yeah.
And this is the thing that I found. Like, I started teaching with a company called Degazon Music. Shout out to Rachel and Anthony for letting me use this space to host this podcast and have us here today. They're absolute legends. And we got a work party today, so I'm very excited to turn up with my bosses. That's so cool.
Fuck yeah.
But I started teaching in May of 2018, and, I'd finished my 1-year program at Humber, the intro program. I had done high school, like the band for 3 out of the 4 years. And I was like, I understand rhythm and the theory of rhythm, pretty well. And for the most part, I'm pretty confident on like melodic and harmonic theory, and not just that, but the language and the grammar that you find in sheet music ranging from like a beginner piano book to like the best pop songs to RCM to like an orchestral book or whatever the case is. But once I started teaching it, I was like, oh, I have like 8 iterations to teach what a quarter note is, you know? And then there's a multitude of iterations on every sort of variable and linguistic character that exists in music. And then you're sitting there and like, I remember I was doing a session with this shoegaze band and we were driving with the producer to grab food. And we were just loosely talking about music theory. And then he was like, yeah, like quarter notes, like they kind of just feel like the pulse. And I'm like, just think of like the 25-cent coin. Like for every 4 25-cent coins, that's a loonie. You can have, you know, 4 loonies and then that multiplied amount of quarters. And he was like, whoa, you know? And I'm like, that's cool. But there's really something about you solidify the ideas that you know once you speak them.
100%.
And when you speak them to different people and you know that they think different, like I think my most important job as a teacher is to learn how this student learns.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what we were talking about before we started recording is like understanding your brain. Like I know if I name a project that's just literally 30 seconds worth of audio, I know how I'm going to be. And there's a separate conversation on deconstructing that and rebuilding it to something more effective. But for the time being, it's like I know I'm going to set myself up for this instance. And so with students, it's like I just ask them, I'm like, explain this to me.
Yeah,
you know,
that's good.
Not a first like timer,
exactly.
right? Like if I've got a new student that had a different teacher, I'm like, show me.
Explain.
Like teach me.
5 chord.
Yeah, exactly. Like now, what is an interval? You know, like talk to me about it.
You're paying me so you can teach me.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, what is an inverted, you know, triad or an inverted paradiddle or whatever the case.
Inverted paradiddle. What's that?
You know, like right, left, right.
Okay, so like left, right.
Yeah, left, right.
Oh wait,
because you're a left-hand lead, aren't you?
No, I'm right.
Right-hand lead?
Yeah.
Who do I know? Oh, I'm thinking of Addy. That's
true. He's a fucking beast.
He's got like this. You know how every drummer has their own style?
Yeah.
His own swing? He has his own swing. And I'm
like, and you know when he's on stage, you know?
100%.
It's like, you know, it's like I could be getting a drink and it's like, oh,
he's on.
That's Addy on the drums.
100%. Yeah. There's a way that he plays his hi-hat. Like, you know, you have like your strong, weak pattern.
Yeah.
It's like ultra strong and like just barely audible weak note. And it sounds like you're like expanding and compressed. It almost sounds like his hi-hats almost sounds like an accordion. Like it's all the way in and it's slightly out and then it's back in. And it's like,
I got to pay attention to that next time.
Sick. Because I was watching him play and I was like, how does he, and he uses like the center of the stick to play on the hi-hat. And then he'll arc his elbow and play the tip to get like, or like ostinatos or whatever the case is. And I was like, that's how he gets that like almost like an oval sound in the hi-hat is because he's not hitting it where people normally hit it. But it's not like it sounds bad. It's just so, I was like,
he uses his body, eh? He uses his fucking body.
He really plays with his shoulder. He
bodies the drums, you know? Yeah. We'll say that.
But don't push. No, he does though. Like he really plays and he leans. Oh, I've like a lot of times when I watch him play, I think about boxers because they're very like shoulder work. And I just see him do that, and I'm like, "Fuck yeah, dude. Like, just get it, man! Like it's so." Dope.
I used his sticks. I forgot what his sticks were. I took a picture of them, but his sticks are super, super light.
Probably like 7As or.
Yeah, I have a photo, but anyways, they were like I don't normally like notice if I just grab a pair of sticks, but I was like, "Fuck, these feel good."
Yeah.
So I gotta go pick up a pair. But
you ever play those Questlove?
Yeah,
sticks?
actually, I don't like them. They're too long.
The length for me, I'm cool with. It's the because I play 3As.
Okay.
Which are like
fat or
they're like in between a 5B and a 2B.
Okay.
But they're a barrel tip, so every cymbal you hit is really wide and really dark. Like it doesn't matter what you play, everything because it's a fucking cone. Like it's not even it's like this microphone, and when you hit it, it's just bah.
Right.
Because I used to play really bright cymbals. And I was like, I need more low end out of my cymbal. Yeah. Imagine that. And they're front heavy. So what
do you mean by front heavy?
The shoulder of the stick is really short. You know how the stick hits a point and it starts to thin out?
Yeah.
meets that little top of the Christmas tree and then the star.
Right.
Mine is very short. So therefore the stick is actually not balanced in the center of the stick. It's closer to the front of the stick. So it's like instead of it here, it's here.
True.
And because it's front heavy, right?
Okay.
And I fucking love them because they're almost like marching sticks. So they're really heavy.
Yeah, well, you know what? Your playing is really like, I don't think heavy is the right word actually, but like fucking just tight and just certain. It's very certain. You know what I fucking mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really tight and very fucking confident, and it's just like, and you know, your posture is amazing on the drum kit.
Thank you.
That's what I also noticed. Just like fucking back straight. Just fucking.
You're complimenting all the things I've been working on the last like 2-3 years.
Well, good work.
I became obsessed with Dave Elich, and the Mars Volta, Miley Cyrus, Weezer drummer. Like he's also a drum educator. He's taught like Stuart Copeland and a whole bunch of other crazy names. And he's all about like fucking. This is a workout. He's like, it's not like lollygagging or painting. I'm sure there's posture in painting for sure, but there's something about drumming that's like, don't sit so low. Well, and don't arch your back like the food critic from Ratatouille. Like fucking.
You're transferring your energy into the drum kit and it'll come out in the sound. As cheesy as that might sound, like that's just, and the same deal with other instruments. It's like how you just embody or like how you carry yourself and your energy is going to come out in your playing.
Yeah.
So that's perfect because it's like I was just saying, you sound very certain.
Thank you.
And like confident in your drumming, and it's just and it looks like that and it sounds like that. So like, you know, naturally that's going to be the results. So
that's the thing. I was listening to a lot of old drum recordings that I did, and it was like unconsciously sloppy. And it's not that it was like falling in and out of time. It's just like the sort of finesse wasn't there.
Unconsciously sloppy is interesting because like consciously sloppy is sick.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I had a break while teaching, and I was watching a video of Nate Smith performing earlier last year, and I was like, "That's the shit."
Yeah.
It sounds like if you put like butter on a plate and then you turn the plate flat, and it's like. Ooh.
The first time I heard drunk like drumming,
it
blew my fucking mind. I was like, "What is this fucking feel, dude?"
It's like the kick and snare.
What is it? What is?
It's really interesting. I think the first thing to do is acknowledge Jay Dilla.
Yeah,
that to my mind makes the most sense. Like because you have swing, and you can go into the conversation of like Tony Williams swing, Max Roach, the Art Blakey swing, which is like a little bit more of a march. Like you can do that whole thing, which is fine. And then you have like your rock swing, like your surf rock, your Ringo Starrs, your Trey Cools. You have your Keith Moons, your Bonhams. I felt like Bonham was a very certain kind of drummer, and it's such a great adjective for that. So I'm using that.
Nice.
But then Jay Dilla came along and was like, okay, the first bar, the kick and snare playing on 1 and 3, 2 and 4, they're going to be lined up. The hi-hat's going to just stretch.
Right.
Like it's eighth notes. And the downbeat of the eighth notes are on the bar, but the and of 1 is late.
Okay.
The end of 2 is
so
early.
It's a lot of hi-hat stuff.
The hi-hat was the first thing that I connected to that drumming. But then you listen to the second measure of a 2-bar progression, and beat 2, bar 2, the kick and snare are a flam. So it's like boom, ta, boom, cha, boom.
Kick and snare?
Kick and snare are like
kick,
flam.
So kick is kind of like 4 on the floor, you're saying?
Almost. Like,
until that point.
Like the first bar, it's like a regular fatback, and then the second bar, it's like kick, kabah.
Yeah, okay,
and
cool.
You
you
play the kick and snare so minimally.
Right.
Paired together.
Right.
And all it does is it just emphasizes that upbeat, and it's really, really smart to add the kick with the snare, not add the snare with the kick.
When add you play the snare with the kick? Wait, what did you say?
Add the kick with the snare.
What do you mean?
So like you always play the kick on 1 and for a very basic fatback. Like you always play the kick on 1 and 3, snare on 2 and 4. To add a kick drum on 2 and 4 sounds way better than adding a snare on 1 and 3. So you're adding the kick with the snare.
Right, okay,
the snare is already leading.
Yeah.
So it's like kick, snare, kick, snare, kick.
Yeah.
And it just the audience is doing this, and then they go like that, and you have this, and you don't take them out of it, because sometimes like you'll be playing and you'll play like the so what phrase 1 and 2 and that's cool, but they go you know what you're kind of doing is like you know when you're driving and you're not paying attention, like while someone's driving, you kind of hit a hill in the road, and you're on your phone. You're like this.
Yeah.
And the car's still moving forward. You know you're safe, but you're like, whoa.
You have
like,
a little like heart drop moment.
You just feel it in the
Yeah.
bottom of your butt.
Yeah.
You're like, ah. You know what I mean? Like that's what that does. And you're playing. And what's his name? Daniel's really good at that at Fam Jam.
Daniel
McClay, I believe is his last name.
He's insane.
He's so good
dude.
at like.
Did you give a
phrase.
talk at the Fam Jam drum thing? Slamuary?
No, I wasn't asked.
Fam
but I
Jam
wouldn't.
next drum month, whichever. If it's Slamuary or whatever,
I think it's Slamuary.
get Ian.
Thanks.
Get Ian on.
I'm like seeing all the other cats there, and I'm like, I still got some work to do before.
See, that's why I love going to Fam Jam, because like there's guys that get on the keyboard, and I'm like, shit, dude, I have a reminder every morning at 8 a.m. It says learn how to play.
Nice.
Because,
learn how to play is such a great way to word it.
Yeah, because it's like learn how to play in the sense that like learn how to talk, like not because like anybody can play the stuff that they already know how to play. And like muscle memory shit, but like having a conversation musically, like I can do it to a certain extent. I'm getting better, but like some of these guys that go and play at Fam Jam are just like, what is it? What? Teach me. What are these fucking chords? What are these notes that you're playing? How are you thinking? How are you thinking about that? They're not thinking.
Yeah,
but
it's like embodied in them. Like they know exactly what.
It's language. It's like right now, this is not scripted.
Yes.
Right? It's like the same thing musically.
Yeah, to all those fucking assholes that love to be like podcasts or this and that. It's not scripted, bro.
Yeah, well, definitely. I don't know who's...
Nobody comments on my shit. I'm just saying, like, there's people out there that are like, this sounds so fake. You know, like, because they listen to like Barstool or whatever. And I'm like, okay, if you got bros broing out and then you go to a podcast that's about something.
Right.
And you have two relatively articulate people, it's going to sound like talk radio. It's going to sound like the news. Like, sorry, bud.
Yeah.
Read a book. You know what I'm saying? Like, goddamn, bro. But I hear you, man. It's true. Like, I think this is part of my fascination with making simple music continuously interesting. And I love that because I see the chords that people play at Fam Jam and I'm like, that's the same 4 to 6, maybe 7 notes that are diatonic to whatever key we're jamming over. But the way you've organized it harmonically and rhythmically, because I think rhythm is to me, rhythm is actually articulation in speech. Like, I tell this with my drum students. We're going to talk about rhythm
for a second here.
Yeah, like my students will be like playing a drum beat and I'm like, okay, let's try it again. And they're like, no, I did it. And they're like 10 or 11, some of them, and they're self-aware. And they're like, no, I did the pattern the way it's supposed to be done. And I'm like, okay, what's that over there? And they're like, computer. And I'm like, pacuter. And they're looking at me like, I'm like, those are all the right letters. Right. Why didn't I say the word? And they're like, no, that's a computer. I'm like, pacuter. You know, refrigerator. And they're like, I'm like, so you get what I'm saying now? Like, if you play the groove and it just drops for a second, you're not articulating it. Yeah. Yes, you completed the check boxes, but you're not articulating it.
You have the syllables.
But it's not in the order. It hasn't flown. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Not supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Right, exactly. Not slop.
Not slop. Yeah. Unless you're conscious.
Exactly. Unless you're trying to do that.
And that's the thing about rhythm. Like, it's like you got to articulate. And it doesn't mean robotic.
The more records I work on, the more I'm perpetually convinced how important rhythm is. Yeah. Rhythm is the most important thing in music. Mm-hmm. It's even beyond music. Like, whenever you have like a community gathering or like at a hockey game or a sports game, any of the chants are all rhythmic.
Yep.
And any like anytime like any kind of like political person or like a religious person wants to get a message across, there's a short phrase that's rhythmic that they'll fucking spew, and then it catches people. And then even in music, like if you go to a concert and like most people probably can't like sing or aren't singers, and they're singing how it goes, like when they're singing along with whatever song, they sing how it goes, and how it goes is the rhythm. It's not the notes.
It's not the pitch. Exactly.
It's how it goes, and they sing the general kind of shape of maybe what the melody is, but that's the identifying part of any song or any like. Yeah, of any song. It's just the rhythm, and like being so tight is so important, and I'm so like Nazi about rhythm now.
Yeah, this is the thing, man. Like, it's sometimes when I have this conversation, I've heard this particular point on the conversation of rhythm, especially drummers, will immediately take it as, oh, dude, that's like quantizing, man. And I'm like, brother.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not in the extremes.
Yeah.
Like, it's really not.
Yeah.
Like, I know everywhere it seems like it is,
Yeah.
but it's really not.
Yeah.
Like, you just got to come to earth.
Exactly.
And, like, see, like, there's a real difference. And if you can practice the ability to choose what sort of, like, rhythm, articulation, delivery of all those things you want, that's just going to make you a better musician.
Yes.
Like, I remember I was doing a session with this band called the Squeegees, who are great people, Terrence and Taylor. We recorded at Taurus with John Drew, and amazing studio, amazing producer, such a genuinely nice guy. We're recording, and we're doing this song called I Will Find You, which this is all unreleased music, but the song technically is not, like, new, I guess you could say. So I'm going to talk about it. My friend Sam, who's been on the show, who has a project called Glitter Party, wrote this drum groove where it kind of starts on, like, this upbeat on the bell and then comes to the hi-hat, kick, and snare. So it's like this quick little phrase. It's almost like a shot kind of thing, and then you come back. And I'm playing it like he plays it, and I'm like, man, like, there's this, like, slop in it that I need to achieve because it's what's making the song feel good. If I play this, like, extravagant, semi-obtrusive kind of groove, because the song's meant to, like, the lyrics are I will find you. You can imagine what that means to the song. Right? You hear the groove, and it's perfect to everything that they're trying to say. And I start playing it, and I'm playing it, like, on the beat.
Right.
And I'm like,
yeah,
it's not right.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit.
Yeah.
It may feel good when you're performing, but then you go back and you listen to the recording, you're like,
it's not.
It sounds like Superior Drummer. It sounds like MIDI.
Right.
And I'm like, no, I need to learn Sam's, like, way of playing this song.
Yeah. And that's also another good point. It's like, I like thinking about different aspects of music as like functional. Like, what function is this part serving? And, like, especially, and it's, first of all, everything must serve the song, in my opinion.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Not the singer. Like, the singer needs to serve the song.
The singer's lyrics and the singer's vocals.
Yeah.
And the drummer's parts.
Exactly.
And the solo.
Everything.
All of it.
Everything needs to serve the song.
Yeah.
So, like, when you're talking about, you know, being, like, perfect or whatever, and it's just not feeling right, it's like you got to figure out, like, okay, well, what is the function of this part here? What's the goal, the desired outcome, emotional, you know, feeling outcome of this part? And if you're locked in like that, or if you're just like on the fucking grid, and the song needs to be a little loose, like, you got to slop it up a little bit.
And this is the thing. There's a lot of times, I find in art in general, you'll find a lot of, like, borderline perfectionists or actual perfectionists.
That's another topic, perfectionists.
Yeah. And the reason why I bring it up is because, like, I feel like people have one definition of perfection, you know, and I've been finding a lot in the last year or so, I've been using, like, cuisine and food as the best metaphors for music, because I'm a big fan of, like, homemade food. I much rather prefer the grilled cheese sandwich with, like the local bakery, like, sourdough and fucking, you know, whatever generic cheese, and done my way at home.
Yeah.
Than the ultra extravagant, like, $30 grilled cheese from whatever fucking
fancy,
you know,
place.
Huhaia place, right? And I'm like, this is perfection to me, but you could make the argument by cuisine, Michelin star standards, that is the perfect grilled cheese. So I'm like, what matters? What they want or what I want right now?
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, if I'm writing a song, what I want right now is should be what's best for the song.
Yes.
And so my perfectionism in the drumming for that song was achieving the way Sam did it. And so all I had to do was just redefine what I thought was perfect for this particular moment. And then that's how I was satisfied with it.
Yeah, and it's like right now I'm getting one of the records that I worked on mixed, and I'm talking to Luke, my mix engineer, Luke Fair, get him to mix your records. He approached the drums of one of these songs like just with a different mentality. Like he heard, like, my rough mix, and I was like, okay, so this is what they're trying to do. And then here, I'll read I'll read the conversation thing, because like I was
Yeah.
trying to get him. I was like maybe trying to talk about like EQ and compression and volume and all that kind of stuff, and it wasn't getting across. And then I was like, where is it? I don't want to take too much time, and
This is where my MIDI keyboard little thing comes in. I just cue the bossa
Jeopardy
nova.
thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I was like, so there's a part in the song where it comes down, like the bridge or breakdown, whatever, comes down as just kick and like a whisper vocal, right? So he heard the rough mix and he was like, okay, so we're coming down. We're taking a break,
Yeah.
right? Whereas like the actual intention isn't that. So I was like, I would also assume that's where we're trying to go if we didn't have a conversation about it. But yeah, like you should be able to feel your heartbeat pounding and you're sweating and there's voices in your head and you're trying to run away in a panic like it's a bad psychedelic trip. And then he was like, you know what? I fucking get exactly what you mean from that description.
Yeah, so the 4 on the floor kick isn't supposed to be soft.
No, it's supposed to be just
supposed
like
to be
it's supposed to
intrusive.
achieve a feeling.
Yeah.
And like the way that you approach it, like the mental, like, okay, like this is like he I guess assumed that it's supposed to come down, where it's like when you are trying to figure out what the song needs and what the song wants, talking about it like that, like emotionally and like how it's supposed to feel, will get that results better than talking about the like technicalities of the process.
Yeah.
So like when you're trying to get those drums to like fit right, it's like you just got to understand the feel, and once you like you hear it back, you know it's like I'm not feeling what the feeling I'm supposed to be feeling.
Yeah, and this is the thing too, like, because you could use all the technical terms, like,
right, exactly.
You know,
yeah,
this portion of the EQ should be like -9 dB or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
and it comes back to what you're saying about like how some people perceive stuff and learn. It's like if you tell me this, like, thinking about this great about Luke is like I'll say that and he'll be like, oh, that means takes 200 out here or whatever.
Yeah, he'll
instead of me being like maybe look for 250 hertz or some stupid shit. I just got to tell him how I feel.
Yeah,
and then he'll translate that, which is like with you as the drum, like on the drums. If someone's saying it's got to feel like a little bit more, whatever, he's like okay, and then you do what you got to do.
Yeah.
But like like sometimes you don't have to be perfect. Like
perfect doesn't mean robotic, specifically for drummers.
Yes,
doesn't mean robotic.
Exactly, and I think like with rhythm, it's like as long as if you're talking about live music, as long as everyone's locking.
Yeah.
It could be like I bet you if you have a band that's playing and they're locking and you find the tempo at the time and you play a click track, at some point it's going to get off.
Yeah, it'll slow down in some sections and it'll speed up. In all honesty, I think that kind of should happen.
Yeah.
Especially live. Like I was with my good friend, bandmate, his name is Wolf. I was over at his place. We were tracking guitars for one of the covers that I'm releasing. And
which one?
What were we doing at the time? Oh, we were doing I Got Mine by the Black Keys. Okay. My friend David Burlick. Have you met David? He's a guitarist, Humber guy. He also hangs out with Gideon. In the event that we're at Fam Jam and he's there, I'll introduce you guys. He's such a genuine dude.
Nice.
And we were tracking guitars. We finished it up, and we were talking about like, especially for these covers, they should not be perfect. Because a lot of the Freddie tunes, like I was like really on
perfect in the sense that like
to the grid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not like recreating the.
Yeah, not recreating the tunes. And especially I Got Mine by the Black Keys specifically. You're doing it justice, in my opinion, by playing it how you interpret it.
Yeah.
Because they're a blues band, and all the blues stuff that they did, Rubber Factory, Chulahoma, whatever that record, Thick Freakness, is blues songs that they're interpreting.
Right.
So it's like, okay, just continue on the lineage for, lack of a better word. And so we were watching Gojira live in France or French-speaking country. And they're playing this tune called Toxic Garbage Island or Toxic Garbage Wasteland. I think it's Toxic Garbage Island. And this song is in 6, but it's like and you don't think it's in 6, you think it's in 4 and it's triplets. But the drummer counts them in 6. And then they play the 6th section of the song. So if you don't hear the live version, it sounds like 4, a section of 6, back to 4 in halftime. But it's actually in 6 the whole time. And it goes from 6/8 to 6/4. That's how they interpret that song. But when they play it live, it's say arbitrarily it's 110 BPM in 6/8.
Right.
And then they play the what feels like 6/8 section, which is still 6/8, but that drops to like 100. So it's like ticka 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 dun 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 dun. And they're doing this live, and then they play a section where it's a breakdown, and it's 16ths in 6/4.
Is that like metric modulation, or is that something else? Metric modulation is what? It's like taking like
it's almost
like taking the
polyrhythmic.
like eighth note triplets and turning them into eighth notes or something like that in a different time.
I don't actually know the correct definition of it. I just kind of know it when I hear it to some degree. Like I did a video of Everyone Wants to Rule the World.
Okay.
So it's like down, 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 and then I did.
Okay.
So instead of on the and, now it's on the E of a third quarter note.
But you take the click away and it sounds like it's the same thing.
Yeah, and so like it's funny. There's an isolated drum track or a video without drums on YouTube, and I got the audio from it and I uploaded it into Logic, and I was like, maybe I can do the whole click thing and figure it out. And I was like, this is way too fucky. Yeah. I'm like, there's no way. I'm I'm just going to feel it out. But again, it's that so what phrase, like down, up, or down, up, right? That's so what to my brain. And I think metric modulation is like, if it's in like 4/4 and it's in regular time, just like, common time, and you find a way to, I think also another point of it is that it has to have an almost polyrhythmic phrase built into it. Because if you listen to Tears for Fears, like there's a shaker going, playing the 3/4. Right. So then it becomes, right? That when you swap it, but then that whole other phrase just like expands, right? So like, I'm trying my best to explain it with my ignorance to it, because I don't know the definition.
Well, I think that's probably right. Like, it's also fun playing with different. Like, there's this one record I did that I was in 6/8, and on some more electronic stuff, it's like when I'm looking for samples and some like percussion loops or whatever, hi-hat loops and stuff like that. It's challenging to find stuff in 6/8 for some reason.
Right.
So just for fun, I was like, I'm just gonna take this 4/4 thing and I'm just gonna put it in.
Mm-hmm.
And you can find some crazy shit. You can find like accidentally stumble upon some like ridiculous groove by doing that. Yeah. And I guess that's polyrhythm.
Well, here's the thing. Like the way I see it is like if you have a bar of 6/8, you have your main downbeat, which is 1, and you have like a sort of downbeat, which is 4. Like you think. Like
question, because a lot of artists have been asking me recently, what to you? What's the difference between 3/4 and 6/8?
Okay, 3/4 is it's all how you deliver with both of those. It's all how you deliver each phrase. So 3/4 has to be like.
Right.
Yes. It's a major downbeat, like let's say if we're using algebra for a second, like what's a better way to word that? Like I don't know, I kind of imagine it as bar graphs, but like you have a downbeat that's +3 in 3/4, which is beat 1. The next 2 beats are both +2. Right. Whereas 6/8, beat 1
and beat 4
is +6.
Oh.
Beat 2 and 3 is
what do you mean by
+6
and
like
+3?
Like they're bigger. So like 3/4 is a really big one, and then 2 slightly smaller ones. So it's it's not but 6/8 is
yeah. So what I remember learning is like the meter is what's different, right? So it's like duple meter is 6/8. So you have the 2 pulses, which is what gives you that.
And it's like 2 pulses within a bar.
Yeah, like the dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
So when you have those 2, whereas what's the other one? Triple meter, I guess.
Right.
Is for 3/4, where it's like you feel the 3, like
you feel all
like
3 beats.
1 2 3, 1 2 3. Yeah.
Because this is the thing. So it's, I mean, the math of it as well is different. Like 3/4 is 3 quarter notes,
Yeah.
and 6/8 is 6/8 notes. You know, so it's like the just
Right.
how it's phrased as well
it
as
doesn't
different.
add up. It's
Well-
like 3 and 2, 4
It
and a
w-
half, or like
Yeah,
5?
it'll be dotted quarter notes,
Right.
You know, instead
yeah.
of like if you wanted to play the equivalent of half notes in 6/8, it would be 2 dotted quarter notes because one
Yeah.
dotted quarter note
Yeah,
is
yeah,
3/8
yeah.
notes,
Yeah, that's
3/8
right.
notes
That's
a
right.
pair. The thing is, it's all about on your emphasis of the beats,
Yeah.
right? Like because I've had drum students of mine go, okay, 12/8, eighth note triplets and 4/4. What's the difference?
Right.
And I'm like, how you emphasize and how it is in the context of the song. Think about rap music. Dun, 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 dun. That's what the triplet does. But if your song is always, it's not triplets.
Right.
It's just
It's just the
it's just
feel.
8.
Right.
It's just eighth notes, right? So the context of it matters.
Yeah.
Here's another thing too. Drummers will be playing punk grooves. And they'll be playing really fast. Big cat, little cat, 1 and 2, another 3 and 4. And they're like, I fucking can't count up to 4. It's so hard to count to 4. I'm like, just count in 2. Just 2, 4.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
just like, yeah, it's more measures on the grid.
Right.
But 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. And it's
Yeah.
easier than 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1
Yeah,
and 2.
yeah,
And
yeah.
like you feel like you're running out of breath. And
Right.
so like they're all tools for the specific situation that you're in, you know, because like there's times where I've been playing 6/8 grooves and it's like,
Right.
and if I don't give you one, it could be anything in the world.
Yeah. True.
But if I go,
yeah. Exactly.
that's 6/8 because
Yeah.
it's 1, 2, 3, 4,
4,
5, 6.
1,
Boom,
2,
dun,
3.
dun. God.
Right.
And you listen to Evergreen by Omar Apollo, like boom, dun, dun, cat, to boom,
Right.
cat, boom, boom. The chord
Right.
changes.
It's super spelled out.
Right. But then if it's Sun's Coming Up by Tame Impala. Yeah,
It's more of like a 3 thing.
3, 4. Like the quarter note just has this like
It's weight. It's just like
this weight to
commands
it,
the whole bar.
where the eighths are loose.
Yeah.
You know? And think about eighth notes when you're playing on the hi-hat. Like to me, I pay a lot of attention to the downbeat and the upbeat. And so if I'm playing quarter notes on the kick and snare, my kick is my downbeat, my snare is my upbeat.
Yeah.
But I can play eighth notes on top of that, where my 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the hi-hat is a downbeat. All my ands are the upbeats. So as I play, my downbeat eighth note of 2 on the hi-hat is my upbeat on the snare. And so now I start to get this like boom, tink, God, boom,
Oh, okay.
God.
Okay.
Like that hi-hat
Yeah.
note, because I'm treating the snare note as an upbeat, the hi-hat has this extra bounce to it.
Right. Right.
And you've seen guys like the drummer for Queen. I can't remember his name right now. Something Roger.
something.
He'll play the open hi-hat on the snare. Boom, tin, tin, cuts, and he'll open the hats with the snare.
Yeah.
And it's sick. Or you've got
yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
the drummer of the Stones. Rest in peace to him. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I
the
don't know
Rolling
it.
Stones. He'll play and he'll take the hi-hat off the snare. Tun, 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 tun,
Interesting.
bang, bang. And that snare, it feels more like a downbeat because it's not matched with the hi-hat.
Right. Interesting.
And this is the thing that I like. I feel like all of this conversation for the last 10 minutes that we've been having isn't possible unless you record yourself.
Yeah.
Like you have to
Recording yourself is so important in getting better, like
Yeah.
especially and like even singing and like editing your own vocals and like visually looking at the things. It's like 'cause
Mhm.
when you don't see it visually and you don't put it down,
Yeah.
you know, putting it down is important so you can listen back and look back and see what the
Mhm.
fuck's going on. But yeah, especially with drums and any rhythmic things, so you can really fucking hear all the where you fuck up and all that kind of shit.
And that's the thing. Like I've been telling a lot of my students too. I'm like, just you have an iPad.
Yeah, record.
I know you're the iPad generation.
Yeah,
Just put that thing right beside you.
exactly.
I'm like, one of my students was like, it sounds really weird. He was like playing like a ride cymbal groove.
Yeah.
And
What do
he
you mean?
was-
It sounds like what, the recording of an iPad?
Yeah,
or-
because I think for a 13-year-old kid. But I found out what he had done is he had taken one of the like and I guess in his basement he's got like his parents have a bar or whatever, and they had like he's like, we have these tall stools, and we were talking about a ride cymbal groove, and he was like, okay, I'll just put it in front of the ride cymbal, and I was like, yeah, so because the cymbal is really loud, it's gonna be like crazy. I was
Right.
like, what you should just do, put it behind your right shoulder,
Yeah.
the Glenn Johns,
Yeah.
basically, without having to explain it to him. And he did that, and he's like, oh, I can hear so much more. And he goes, I can hear this now. I'll play the kick drum, and then there's a second note because he's not controlling the beater. So he'll go boom, pa, and there's a tiny little note in that particular groove. And he's like, that would be something I would catch in the lesson.
Right.
But he caught it while he was playing it because he saw the
waveform,
thing, and he saw a little
right.
in the waveform. And he's like, and I'm like, there's another reason why, like, and this is the thing. I have a very good friend of mine. She's a bit older than I am, and she was taking guitar lessons. And she's like, this doesn't sound right and that stuff. And I'm like, you can record yourself if you want. But I can tell that music for her is much more of a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
She has her identity as a person and all that kind of stuff. But for some of my younger students where they don't cling to sports as well, they're not too crazy about one particular subject. So I can kind of see that music to them, they're like, just help me find something. Like when you're grade 7 to grade 12, like you're just trying to find where you belong. Yeah. And I was like, just do this and record yourself and listen back. And you see them give themselves the gratitude and the reward on getting better at their instrument. And that's great for a student. But to someone who's trying to be a professional musician, or by whatever definition is a professional, I'm like, you should be recording yourself all the time.
I agree.
All the time.
I agree.
Like when I just want to jam on the drums, I put my phone on my windowsill and I just record.
Yeah.
And maybe I come up with something that's like
exactly
never would have came up with it.
That's like, especially when you start to make music, like the best shit comes when you least expect it. And it's just like, if you don't get it and you don't remember it, you're fucked. And like, even like sometimes like I'll think like, oh, that idea was so good, there's no way I'm going to forget it. It's gone. It's gone. So
it's gone forever.
it's never coming back.
Yeah.
So like in writing sessions, it's like my phone's always recording. I have enough like hour-long recordings that I need to just start getting rid of. But like it's just way more important to get 3 seconds of magic and deal with the storage later. Mm-hmm. So fucking record everything. But also like when you're playing and whenever you're trying to improve as a musician, especially a singer, like I don't consider myself a singer, but I sing for fun. And like sometimes, like I haven't in a long time, but like if I have a lull in work or whatever, I'll like make a cover or some shit.
Nice.
And like I'll edit my vocals and all that kind of stuff. And like when you're looking at, do you use Melodyne?
I don't, but for my music, I do.
Right,
my producer does.
Like, I'm in Melodyne probably 60-70% of the time I'm on my computer. And just, like, looking at the vocal, you can see everything. You can see, like, the little wavering in your vocal. You can see the vibrato. If you have vibrato, you can see how even it is, uneven. And you can just take that and look at it and try to improve by, like, seeing it. Because it's, like, it's hard to, like, just use your ears. Especially when you don't know what you're doing, when you're trying to get better at first. It's like it's visually seeing a visual representation. Like even like when with other concepts like compression. Like compression took a fucking long time to understand. It's conceptually easy to understand, but like until I started to see it with there's this compressor Fab Filter. It's a company that makes plugins. There's this compressor called Pro C2 where it has the graph and it'll show what's happening to the audio file. So like once I started to see it, I started to really understand what was going on. So same deal with just playing music and like getting better at music. Like if you can see your performance, even like when you're like, if you're going to videotape it, like for performance things outside of the musicianship, like it's just important to always record yourself.
I really think that's how the way I sit on the drums improved. Was like so where my drum set is, you walk in my room, to the left is the kit, right in front of the door is my production desk, to the right is like my filing cabinet, on top of that is where I put my mirror. It used to be in my closet for my clothes, and I was like, damn, I gotta put a mirror up because I have Dave Elich. I have bad posture, especially when you're like in a chair all day. Yeah, like it's like and posture. You're looking in, and you've got like the rolled over shoulder. Yeah. I'm horrible. I'm so bad. This is the thing. Like, there's certainly a point to the performative side of it, but just like longevity. You know what I mean? Like, and just general like just health, body health. Yeah. Exactly. So make sure you don't fuck yourself up before you're 70 or 60 or whatever. Or something, and That's why I wonder about like all the old cats. I'm like, how the fuck did they do it? How did they like? How did Quincy Jones survive?
I'm jealous of those guys because they got to like, they got to focus on the music, you know. Whereas like that's not the case anymore unless like I said, unless you're very lucky and you have like maybe a label or whatever or like a whole team backing you, then you have to do everything.
Yeah.
You have to do everything. And it sucks to not be able to just focus on the music. But, you know, double-edged sword, right? Like you have all the control now by doing all that kind of stuff, and you have the potential to start a business and earn a living in music with all these tools. But the trade-off is now you got to be a brand.
And you got to work
promote
24/7.
Yourself. Fucking 24/7, exactly.
Yeah.
Always.
And this is the thing too, like we mentioned Melodyne for a second, and I was thinking like I don't know how I feel 100% about all of the digital post-production like correction that happens in music, because like even for me, when I made my first record, my first EP, I was like, I'm not happy with these vocals. And he's like, it's about the performance.
Yeah.
And I'm like, absolutely.
Yeah.
And he's like, pitch I can take care of.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, I get that.
Yeah.
But then I also think, I'm like, does this song actually need perfect pitch?
Well, that's another thing.
And it's a whole like...
That's like coming back to the whole serving the song, right?
Yeah.
Like what's right for this song. Because I'm primarily working on pop music.
Right.
You know, but like, you know, under this, you know, giant umbrella of styles, but just overall pop music, you know, dance hall, punk, R&B, ballads, some hip hop, like,
nice.
But it's all like pop music.
Yeah.
So most of it is like tune it and like don't, like I've gotten way better at tuning, so it hopefully doesn't sound tuned. Hopefully, maybe I'm biased, but but for that kind of stuff, for like any mainstream kind of like shit, people just want the good melodies, and like they don't want to hear any of the like people get put off by some wrong notes, you know.
This is the thing that I think about, because I'm like, when did that start? And is it people that actually said that, or was it like the early adopters of this tech? Because like I was watching Adam Neely pitch correct Led Zeppelin, and for the most part it was pretty in tune to my recollection of the video. But then he like really pitch corrected it. And I was like, and he used Melodyne, which doesn't make your voice sound like
that's a
squished. And I was like, I don't know. And it's hard to tell. And I feel like there's a disservice happening to musicians in their ability to play their instrument, where it's like you're not practicing as much. And not to sound like the guard, you know what I mean?
No, but you're totally right, though.
Like I feel like
you're totally right. Like the way I see it is these are all tools to make music.
Yeah.
And there's different ways that you can make music, and you can make it perfect if you want it to be perfect, or you can, if your goal is one of your goals is to constantly improve as a musicianship and work on your craft of singing or playing or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, maybe if you nailed the performance and you didn't hit the note, tune it, but work on it. You know what I mean? And not enough people do. Like most people don't.
Right.
Most people don't. And most people say that they do and say that they will, but don't. And that's the other thing. It's like these days, it's like it's amazing because music technology is so cheap that you can make an amazing sounding record in a basement, right?
Yeah, like the pitch correction in Logic.
Even the flex pitch thing.
Yeah,
it's great.
It's pretty great.
It's possible now. So the technology enables way more people to make music.
Yeah.
So there is much more music, much more great music, and much more bad music equally. Yeah. But it also makes it easy for people to not have like such reverence for the craft of like musicianship, because you can just fix it. You know what I mean? So it depends on your mindset and what you want, but like as long as you're making, like if you want to make music and it lets you make music the way you want to do it, you know.
That's absolutely yeah. I'm not saying for sure like it has to be
No,
one way.
we're on the same page. We're on the same page.
Just like it makes me wonder about it because like I think about like sports or food and whatnot, and I'm like can't synthesize it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's a reason why that stuff isn't there in
well,
sports.
also the other thing is like the stage is the equalizer. You know what I mean? Like all roads eventually will lead to the stage if you want to do a career in music as like an artist or a performer.
And if that record if that live performance don't sound like that record
at least as good as the record.
Yeah.
Then you're gonna
in my mind it should be better.
Yes, it should be way better. It should be way better.
And it's not because there's this whole like clinging to virtue that happens in a lot of these like this or that conversations in general. And people are like, no, well, I'm spending all this money on production. It's got to be great. I got to let the machine do it better for me. I'm like, makes sense. But that means you got to practice like 3 times harder in the rehearsal space.
Yep.
Because now, and not to sound virtuous, not to sound like I'm fishing for virtue, you know. There are people that are going to go to your show and get a babysitter, or they're going to not take an extra shift at work, or they're going to, instead of having a date night with their partner, they're going to come to your thing.
Yeah.
And then if you just like rehearse on stage, like I'm uninterested.
Yeah.
It's not to sound crazily blunt, but I'm like,
you're right.
There has to be you're right. It comes to the stage. Like the stage has to be that standard.
Yeah. Yeah. And the stage is also a different format than the record. So like, it's one thing I'm like obsessed with now is putting shows together for some acts and like every show I go to, I kind of take mental notes if there's anything that was amazing or anything that was like bad or like, and again, these are things that the average person is not going to even think twice about. But as a musician or somebody in the industry that's putting shows together, like your show is the most important thing. Yeah, much more important than the records. Like you need great songs. Always. But the show will sell the record. Yeah, the show will sell the record. Like there's
the merch.
Yeah,
and you the Levi's deal and all that stuff.
Exactly, because like we probably talked about this, but one of the most like profound memories that I have about this is like over this past summer I've been going to a lot of shows, and there's this band, Lawrence, soul pop band. Anyways,
I don't know.
I went to go see him play, and I heard they were coming to Toronto, and I was like, bought the tickets, didn't look if there's openers, didn't really give a shit. I was just like, I'm just going to go see them. So I show up, it's the thing. There's an opener, it was fine. And then there was this, it was a co-headline gig. So there was this band called Mr. Wives that like, I guess, it's the same set length, but they were first. Right. They played, and I was like, holy fuck, this is so good. Yeah. Their musicianship was amazing. Their the crowd engagement was amazing. The visuals, the set design, the way the band interacted with each other, like it was so engaging. Like I didn't have an opportunity to like look at my phone. You know what I mean?
That's the
and the thing is, like, I didn't even know about them playing. And after like that performance, I was like, fuck, these guys are amazing. I followed them on the things, and I downloaded their music, and on the drive home, I put on some of their music, and it's good. But I noticed that, like, look, if somebody just showed me the song, I'd probably be like, cool song, and move on. But after being at the show, I was like, fuck, dude, I'm a fan.
Did you, while listening to the song on the drive home, did you immediately connect it to the memory you had of the show?
Yeah.
See, this is the thing that love that we're having this conversation right now, because I haven't been able to exercise this thought enough. I saw Billy Talent in 2018 or 2019 at the Air Canada Centre before it became Scotiabank. Sure. Or maybe it was Scotiabank then. Anyways, the bill was some band called the Dirty Nil, Monster Truck, maybe one more, and then Billy Talent. Or something around those lines. And this is like in and around when Rapbeard from Alexis started playing with them. And we show up, and the Dirty Nil is playing. I have no idea who they are. I couldn't care at the time because it was like a last minute thing. I didn't even have time to check. And I knew Monster Truck from NHL 13.
Right.
That's the only reason why I knew that band. And I was really just there for Billy Talent.
They're a Canadian band, right?
All the acts were, yeah. And I get there, and it's a 3-piece. And they're opening up for two very, like a big band and a fucking gigantic generational band.
Right.
At their home.
Yeah.
The Maple Leafs Arena.
Yeah.
And it's literally a drummer, a bassist with his rig and a rap pedal and his mic, and Luke Bentham and his guitar, his like acrylic guitar running through whatever amp. And when I tell you, it just felt huge. Like I walked in and they're playing and it just sounds like it sounds like how Thor is supposed to look. Like it just was just like,
I love that.
Oh my God. And I'm sitting there and I was fortunate enough to attend that show in the box because
Ooh.
my best friend Daniel's mom
Woo.
works downtown, and that's how we got
Crazy.
those tickets. And I was with another friend named Anthony, and it was just like, I was like, I'm leaving work early. I was working at Harvey's. Like I was like 17 or 18. I was like, this is great. And they're like distracted or whatever. And I'm watching them play, and I'm watching them literally carve a part out of their soul and give it to this crowd because they recognize the bill that they're on. And just the sheer energy out of that band, I was like, holy fucking shit. And I remember more from their set, slightly a little bit more from their set than the Billy Talent set, because they just gave this like, if it was the do or die gig, like you could as a musician, you could feel that in them. That's
amazing.
You
And
know?
that's when I go to a show, I want to see you having the fucking time of your life.
Yeah.
I want to see that because
that's how you'll have the time
yeah,
of your life
exactly.
as the audience member.
Exactly. And like sometimes when that doesn't happen, it's a little bit like disheartening. Like I went with a couple artists that I'm working with. We went to go see Demi Lovato in October.
Was that a history?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that that like whole announcement. How was that?
The music is good. The performance was for Demi Lovato's kind of like level, like where she's at. I thought it was kind of lame. Like it was, there was like very minimal like talking and engagement.
Right.
Almost every song had like 15 to 30 seconds of silence in between each song and they cut the lights on top of that. I don't know if you've heard any of like her new album music, but it's all like super, super heavy music. And it's like arguably like borderline metal.
What?
Like it's pretty heavy.
Damn.
But the guitar player, and it's all female band, which is dope. But the guitar and the bass player are like, it was as if they're confined to like a little virtual box on the stage, and they were just like kind of in this pocket, not really. Like when it's that kind of music,
Guitar Hero, like they're like in their spot.
Yeah, they're in there. Like I wanna see you like rocking. You know what I mean? Especially if it's that kind of music.
If Demi's in the front, the two of them should meet behind and like.
There's so many opportunities for all of this stuff, and especially that's why I was surprised because I'm like, at her level, this should be like standard, like just like excellent, like well rehearsed, engaged show. But it wasn't like that, which was surprising. And they're like the thing about live. I was talking to my friend Danny from Harmonies.
Dope.
Yeah, we were. That's who I was with yesterday. We were talking about this, and like the show is about the moments. It's about the moments because the moments are what's memorable. And it's like if you think about like even movies, like moments are always like set up. Yeah. And you have to set it up, and you have to plan how you're going to set up these moments so that you can have these. Like these moments of
climaxes.
Exactly. And none of that happened. And she looked like, I don't know. I think I don't know what's going on in her life. I think there's a whole bunch of stuff probably going on in her life. But she definitely didn't look like she was having the time of her life. Wow. It kind of looked like this is my job, and it took me out of it. It took me out of it because I'm like I don't know. I want like when I'm on stage, it's like the fucking. It's like leave it all on the line. You know what I mean? Just rock your fucking heart out. Yeah. No matter what you're doing, like obviously if you're playing guitar, you can move a lot more.
Yeah,
like,
dude. Fuck.
But like, yeah,
ever since I started playing guitar, like I played a gig last night or Thursday night with Wolf, and I was like, wow, my legs.
Yeah, you can move around.
I can move laterally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not just up and down.
Exactly.
You know?
It's like that's the other thing is like on keys it sucks. It doesn't suck, but it's just like.
Get the
I can't the guitar.
The guitar, bro. Or an accordion, an electric accordion.
That'd be fucking hilarious.
What if you built like a waist and chest frame that was like a stand?
That would be fucking cool.
Like a robot.
That'd be heavy.
That would be heavy as shit.
That'd be so heavy. My keyboard is 50 pounds.
Oh fuck that, dude.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, like I was surprised at that show because I was like, So, anyways, yeah, the show is the most important thing.
Mhm.
Obviously, everyone that was there that are Demi Lovato fans are not going to think twice. They're going to have the time of their life, and they're going to love it anyways.
This is the two
right?
things that I think about with that specifically, because I'm like, if you're like, because it's not like Demi Lovato is new. Demi Lovato to me has been around since like,
Established
2010,
artist. Yeah.
so like 13 years.
Yeah.
12 at the time, whatever, if you would keep it fiscal or whatever. But like, I can imagine from her side, like, been doing this for so long, and it was like so random at first, like the show,
Right.
and then you go to this to kind of like keep doing it. You know, I can see how that job, but this is the thing. I'm like, is it almost inevitable for a musician who's been doing it for so long to kind of just like,
I hope not.
I fucking hope not.
I hope not, because like I have not had the privilege of touring,
Same.
so I don't know what it's like.
Yeah.
But like I can imagine that you get worn out, but like I like I don't know. You hear stories from other artists, and it's like even when they're worn out, they still want to give their all on stage and everything like that. Like I don't see how I could not do that. Well, I don't know. Again, like I haven't had the experience, but I'd love to tour. I'd love to have the like everybody pack into a car and sleep on hardwood floors tour just for the experience. I know it's gonna be shitty, but
oh, same. I've been dying for that since I was like fucking 10 years old.
yeah,
bro.
exactly. It's just
Like-
and you just are with the fam.
Yeah.
And you just connect with the band, and like you just have like when you're with a few other guys or girls or whatever, and you're sleeping on a hardwood floor. This is when you make your real friends. You know what
There's
I mean?
something about like we're struggling together.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
that it just
Yeah.
it's so true. And it is the thing, like I honestly think that's what pushed me to explore music, like the touring life, because I remember my parents got the BlackBerry Playbook, the BlackBerry iPad.
What?
Yeah. Old one.
I don't even
device.
remember this.
I remember because it was the one time I was like genuinely addicted to a
BlackBerry.
device. I know, right? The little fucking buttons. you know?
God damn. They had a
And
moment, eh?
They
Anyways.
really did, man. BBM was the shit,
BBM.
bro. So I remember going and looking at like the Black Keys, Billy Talent, Blink-182, Slipknot. Like I know all of them off by heart because I would watch the same fucking videos. Like it was my comfort TV
Right.
show.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've actually talked about this a lot, but like I remember watching Blink-182's video. Forgive the title. It's Riding in Vans with Boys was the name of the tour vlog.
Riding in vans?
With boys.
Okay.
Yeah. 2000s American Pie humor.
Right.
You know how it is.
Yeah.
Billy Talent had the Germany tour vlog. Blink also had the Pop Disaster tour. Slipknot had Hellbound. There was the Black Keys, Thick Freakness, little excerpts. The Police. There was U2 documentaries for days. A lot of other metal bands. The Warped Tour vlogs later in the later years, like when I hit like 14 and 15.
I wish
And-
I made it out to one of the Warped Tour gigs, but
You never attended
I
one?
never did.
I went to two.
Yeah?
2015 and 2017.
When did they stop?
2018 was the last one, but they never came to Canada. 2017 was the last Canadian
okay.
one. And so I was watching the Blink vlogs, or what were basically
Right.
vlogs, but they were just like documentaries.
Yeah.
And I was like, are you telling me that all this is being in a car, which I already loved as a kid. Like I loved looking through the window
Yeah.
and imagining the little man like jumping over the buildings
Right.
and shit. You know what I mean? I loved
Yeah.
that. Or seeing weird shit like a massive fucking moose or
Yeah.
whatever, you know, hanging out with friends, eating snacks.
Yeah.
You know,
Sounds great.
and then landing in a brand new place, meeting a whole bunch of new people, playing a show, getting back in the car and doing that all over again.
That sounds like a fucking time.
I'm like, as a kid, I was like, when can I,
Yeah.
like Kids Bop, sign me. bro. I was like, I want this so bad. And the tour, and I know it's gruesome, but I'm like, you're not going to get out of that. Like in general, in life, there isn't something that's worthwhile that doesn't come with
Yeah.
a little bit of suffering.
Exactly.
And so I'm like, if that's the suffering, like
Sign me up.
general assessment of hygiene and driving and potential hemorrhoids in 30 years. I'm like, I'm going to get him somewhere else.
And rough nights and it's like not sleeping well.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
And neck pain, I'm like, okay, either
Yeah.
the neck pain's going to come from being at a computer,
Right.
typing in somebody else's data,
Yeah. Fuck
you
that.
know, or I'm going to get neck pain from looking out the window like this.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, that's way better.
Yeah.
And like ever since then, I'm like, fuck, I want it so bad.
It'll come
know?
at some point, you know.
hope
I don't know. I don't know what it's gonna look like for me, but that's definitely a goal. And then eventually, a luxury tour. You know, like a tour bus tour.
Yeah, dude. Never mind tour bus tour. Tour bus to the Marriott every night.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Exactly. Put me in a
show
hotel.
up, lobster,
Yeah.
butter,
like,
lemon.
give me the
like,
drinks after the show.
Yeah.
Just nice and taken care of.
You ever watch the digital tour bus group on YouTube?
No, it didn't.
Dude, that's a rabbit hole.
Oh god.
Oh my god. All the Warped Tour bands and bands alike, like they did Billy Talent, they did a whole bunch of other bands, you know, like Asking Alexandria, Of Mice and Men, Linkin Park, Lights, you know, Paris, like all those bands. It's so to come back to Billy Talent, like they were like older. You know, it was their Dead Silence tour, so it was like 2012. This is their 4th studio LP. Before they were Pez, you know,
Right.
which is a dope band. Before they were Billy
I
Talent, they
didn't
were
listen to
Pez.
them then. I didn't. So I don't know anything.
They're
But
dope.
I'm only really familiar with Billy Talent 1 and Billy Talent 2, and then maybe a couple of singles
True.
beyond those records.
You ever listened to Pez?
No.
It's it was literally the
It's
same
Billy Talent before
Billy Talent, but it's the same guys, but it was
Yeah.
like ska. It's like
True.
Sublime. But with the Billy Talent 1 band vocals
Oh,
over ska.
fuck.
Yeah, there's some fucking bangers on there, man. They're not on Spotify and it drives me nuts.
They're not on Spotify?
They're not. You got to go to YouTube if they're
Oh,
still.
okay.
I haven't heard them in like 3-4 years.
Damn.
But I was watching their tour bus interview, and they're like, "We're dads now, so we got to keep it neat, and we got to take care of this and that, and we fold our clothes, and we do this, and we're very like clean cut and
Yeah.
dry with it." And I was like, "That's amazing."
Yeah.
I was
That's
like,
so
"That
like
sounds so great."
that definitely I would like to get that out of my system before I have a family, you know,
Same.
if that's on the table, but
Yeah.
cuz it's music, doing music and like balancing other things, like that's the one thing that is like has become glaringly obvious, is that the amount of sacrifice is insane. Like I don't have a social life outside of Fam Jam.
Yep.
I don't have a girlfriend. I don't
Mhm.
have like my friends, like my two best friends, like Manny, he
Yeah.
moved to Texas.
Yeah.
My other best friend, who is my roommate, is now back in Guelph. So I sink all of my time into work, and I have to because I need to keep up with it.
Yeah.
But it's incredible amount of sacrifice to
Yeah.
do music. So like, gonna hold off on anything that'll until it's like established and well taken care of, and I don't got to think about where the next paycheck's coming from.
Yeah.
Then we'll think about.
Have you ever thought about doing like music or jingles?
What do you mean?
Like there was a girl I dated from 2014 to 2019 or 2020, I think, like technically in and around there. It was a rough ending, but I made a record. I'm not mad about it.
Yeah,
You know?
that's a good way to make good songs, but not
Yeah.
a good way to like.
Live. Yeah. But her father made like jingles. Like he made intro
like
music, background music, and some of the deals that he told me about from like Sony, from XYZ, ABC, whatever it was, I was like, what? And he's like, it took me like 30 minutes
yeah,
to make this. It's fucking GAD,
yeah,
some bass,
it's basic,
and 2-part harmonies. Hoo-ah.
and you're
And
done.
that's it.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, how much is that? $5,000? No big deal.
Yeah.
That's easy. But
Yeah.
like $5,000 to a musician
Is
who isn't a Drake or
Right.
a 50 Cent.
It's significant.
It's like,
That's like a month.
yeah,
That's a
that's
month.
great. Do
Um,
that 5 times a month.
Yeah. Oh,
Or
easy.
sorry,
but
rather,
like
12 months a year is what I meant.
I would definitely do that if it fell into my lap. I'm not gonna pursue it. I'm not gonna pursue it because it doesn't get me off. And like
Yeah.
the pursuit of that kind of thing. Like I studied composition, and my justification to like my mom and my parents was, I'll do film scores because for some reason it sounds more corporate than and I guess it
Arranging
sounds
a single. Yeah.
than making records.
Yeah.
So and I did a little bit of that during school, and it's rewarding when you do a whole score, but like the business of it is, if you're not already in those circles and if you're not already like signed on, the amount of like, you have to already do enough spec work making records, but the spec work in the scoring world is insane because you have to score a scene.
Yeah.
And it could be as simple as like one piano note, or it could be an elaborate orchestral arrangement, and then you might not get the gig. So it's way more time and way more effort for it to not to work out.
It's not, it doesn't even seem like it's always 50-50. Like sometimes it seems like it's a little bit lopsided. Like
yeah, exactly.
So how long would you say that you've been producing for other people?
Probably since 2018. 2019. I produced a lot of like my own stuff, and like I had bands, you know, but for other artists probably really started to go in 2019.
So 4
like
years.
Early 2019, I guess so.
Did you find like a lot of activity because of COVID?
Well, so the way COVID, like, I don't know, I'm lucky. Like so right before COVID, I went to LA. And I did a week of like sessions there with an artist that invited me to go. And that was probably the most inspiring like trip of my life.
Wow.
Like because it was the first time I got to actually see what it looks like off of the internet to be doing the job. Right. And just actually like in with the producers and whoever, and like how the business of it works and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So I was like high on inspiration.
Yeah.
And then I get back. That was the first week of March, 2020.
Wow.
And then I get back. Crazy. And then I get back and I do 1 week of work at Long McQuaid, and then this whole fucking thing comes down.
Dude. Yeah. That like talk about the last minute without knowing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly. It's crazy. But yeah, and then my manager called me on my birthday, pretty much at the end of March, or like the day before my birthday, or on my birthday, asking me if I wanted to take an optional like layoff.
True.
So like, I guess so they could save money or whatever, and because they knew about Serb. Was coming through, so it's like, if you want, our store's gonna be closed, we're gonna do curbside fucking pickup or whatever only.
But at that point,
so
it doesn't
I was
require
like,
a lot of people.
No, exactly.
You know?
So I was like, yeah, I'll take that just to be safe, and also definitely gonna use this inspiration from that trip and just try to get it going.
Absolutely.
So I definitely had the luxury of the government money for the first 4 months of the pandemic to get me going. And I reached out to some older like people that I used to work with. I used to do some session stuff with, and like used to play in their bands to see if they wanted to like work and make some records, and they did. And then just started to snowball a little bit, and then a little bit of word of mouth, and like that's kind of it. And then a lot of Instagram networking. Is kind of like, what was the question? How do we get here?
Like how, how long you've been
making music for other people? Yeah, so like 2019, I was working with pretty much one other artist, and then 2020 beyond, it started to snowball.
So how many artists do you think, like, if you could guesstimate?
Right, that I've worked with or am working with?
I guess both, yeah, to satisfy both of the curiosity.
Let me look at my calendar, because that's probably good.
While you do that, I'm just going to quickly grab the keyboard.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Like what keyboard?
Oh, no, a computer keyboard.
Oh, okay. You got me excited here. We're not playing chords. What did I say? I was going to look at my calendar. So, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... 7, 8, probably around 15 artists, between 10 and 15 artists at any given time, probably. Like, that's like on the go.
You're saying like currently.
Yeah.
So how do you wrestle with ear fatigue?
Oh, I don't think about it.
Oh yeah.
Ear fatigue.
Do you think ear fatigue is a placebo?
No, I think it's a real thing, but like that's one reason why I pay my boy Luke to mix my shit. Cause like I don't like I'm focused on the arrangement and the composition and, editing and melodyning and doing all these things that I don't need to be. I need to be like, I need to hear, but like, I don't need to critically listen between how these two parts are not working together, or like, from a musical standpoint, obviously I'll pay attention, but from like trying to blend and mix and all that stuff, I don't worry about it because I know Luke will take care of me. But ear fatigue, like the last thing that, like, I played a show with I played drums in my brother's band, and we played a gig.
That's the punk band, right?
Yeah,
nice.
We played a gig 2 weeks ago or 3, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, and I forgot my ear protection.
Oh.
And that fucked me up. That was like, and I'm like,
you're playing drums in a punk band.
Yeah. And I was playing light. I was like, it was all wrist work, but it was still just fucking
punk. Yeah, and then
loud.
Guitars
and like
when
you're in a punk band, exactly. That was another thing. When you're in a punk band, you don't typically play the fanciest venues and like that are nice and so it was like a little bar, and it was tucked in a corner, and it's like they threw up.
The walls are.
Yeah. It was so and like I was saying, like this month or January, so far has been like the busiest month of my life.
That's good
and
though.
It's a blessing.
It's
a blessing.
Good for the sake of like the momentum of the career.
Yes.
But there is also the conversation about like
the burnout.
Yeah,
because that's real. That's fucking real. But so what I like. After the gig, that day, I had a morning session, I had an afternoon session downtown, and then I came back up to Stouffville, we played the gig, and then I went home and tried to start working on another thing just so I could, because I promised this artist that I was going to get him a bounce at a reasonable time, and I hadn't been able to because some things came up. Yeah. So I'm like, I need to fucking, so I got home after the gig, and I was trying to work, but my ears were fucked, and I couldn't. This was the first time I couldn't work, and I had my knob at like one LED was lit up on the Apollo. It was quiet as hell, and I'm like, this hurts. This fucking hurts. It was bad. It was really, really bad. And I was like, that's fucking never gonna forget my ear protection again. But I
have a solution. Go to Long and McQuaid, the brand. Well, it doesn't have to be Fender, but get one of those packs that connect to your car key, the keychain. Ever since I've had the keychain earplugs, I never forget the ear because I'm always, because you're a driver. Yeah. Like you drive. Yeah, I drive. Time. I've told this to other friends that live in Toronto, and they're like, my house key is a key.
Right. It's not like a.
It's not like a lanyard. Yeah. Mine's like, I have my lanyard, but then I have like my car keys. Yeah. And I'm like, ever since then, I'm like, they don't go anywhere. And then what I do is I buy the orange pack. I keep them in my car.
Oh, like the disposable ones?
Yeah, the fucking 30 dB construction ones.
Right.
And I'm like, in the event that I've lost them, I have those.
Right. I should definitely just stock up on it because I have a pair of nice earplugs. Like, do you know D-Buds? Have you heard about those?
I know DB.
D-Buds. Maybe thing? They're adjustable, so like you can slide them out. So you have like minus 20 dB, and then you shut them, and it's like minus 30 dB. or something.
Yeah, I have those. Yeah. And it's like the white box with the red. Yeah. They're like a tiny little black case.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So that's what I have. So I forgot those, but it is definitely smart to just have a pair of or extra of the disposables just in the glove compartment, or like the key thing, like you were saying. Like that is smart.
You just, because I know if I don't have my car keys on me, that's a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
If I have my car keys on me, it means I have my earbuds on.
I'm really good with like wallet, keys, phone. I never really forget anything. So.
Pocket triplets.
Yeah, exactly.
But
yeah, so ear fatigue, that's like the most recent thing I could think of that I noticed. But yeah, like I don't really think about it or notice it too much.
True.
Yeah.
Because I find like I will have these moments where I'm like attentively listening to the world so much. Like one of my friends, her name is Sophia. She always makes fun of me because like I hear little sounds and I can't help but say that I hear it. And I don't know if it's an ADHD thing or whatever.
What do you mean?
Like we were talking about something and she laughed and she went and like didn't, and it was like so funny to me. And she's like looking at me weird and I'm like pissing myself. And she's like, was it that funny? And I'm like, no, it's the way you laughed that one time because I've never heard you laugh like that. And now I'm like, That's hilarious. And I can't get it out of my brain. And so I think I was at the gym on Monday, and I just thought,
I just started laughing.
Pissing my pants, bro. I was like, it was so funny.
Dude, I love when you think of a memory that makes you laugh and it makes you laugh.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Or a meme, bro.
Yeah.
Like some of the memes out there are just like hilarious. But like, I find that
I don't have enough laughing in my life. I need more like stomach hurting laughing. I need more. Oh, dude, fuck, dude. Fuck. Sure. Yes. But.
Yeah. Nah, I sing. That's enough.
Dude,
course.
I fucking used to do that. And I remember one time I did the plyometrics one out of like, I used to do it in like grade 10 and then like in grade 12. I was like, I should do it again. And I started with the plyometrics. Did you do that one?
The P90. I never actually did. I do core workouts.
The plyometrics
like
one, it's just an hour of jumping. And it fucked me up for like 2 weeks. Anyways,
fuck
whatever.
That. The lactic acid. Fuck all that shit. Yeah. No thanks.
Continue. Sorry.
I'm not preparing for a war. You know what I mean? like what the fuck? Like, no.
Yeah, exactly. Just trying to be healthy.
Yeah, like I'm just trying to look good in clothes.
Yeah.
And then be healthy.
Exactly. Trying to maintain this.
Yeah. Like I've got like drummer arms, dad bod, and I got some thickums in the thighs. Just my genetics, like being a Dominican man, like I'm not gonna have a small ass, you know. I'm like, let me just keep all this proportionate, and then like my clothes and wear them well, and that's it. You know what I mean? Like fucking. There's some times where like some of my friends are like going crazy hard at the gym, where it's starting to like affect other shit around them, in a way that isn't healthy,
right?
Or at least how I would perceive it to be healthy. And I'm like, why? And they're like, dude, it's about the PR, man. And I'm like, it's not about the PR.
Yeah.
It's actually not. Yeah. Like, it's just about like not turning into Wall-E.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, that's the only thing that matters, really.
Yeah.
And like, I was at the gym with one of my buddies, and he's like, what's your max squat? And I'm like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
He goes, dude, you're literally like built for squats. I'm like, I'm totally aware. Like, I have a great low center. I know, but I was like, I've never cared about it. And I was like, okay, you know what? Like, I would never do heavy weights. Yeah. Why don't I try it? There's something about like this one-off, let me push myself kind of thing. You know, like, let me actually try and play. What is that band? Dragon Force.
Oh my God.
Let me literally try and play that on a guitar and figure it out. Like, just why not? And sometimes you'll surprise yourself. But there's just like this like obsession with the sky's the limit in that world that I'm like,
yeah.
I just want to eat a burger and not feel bad.
Dude, that's
it. I just want to go to Maddie's Patties and be like, I'm good.
I want to eat whatever the fuck I want to eat and not get very fat.
Do you have like a in studio like food or snack that just like
I don't, but
the soul?
I need to like. It's easy to not eat. It's easy to forget to eat. That happens all the time. Of like especially some of the sessions that you like. Sometimes you're just in it. Sometimes you just like when you're doing it every day. It's like you like. I love it, obviously, but like some days are more like fully immersed than others.
Yeah, for sure.
And when I in those fully immersed days where it's like you're just lost in all the ideas and you're just trying everything, like it'll be like you'll start at 10 a.m. or whatever, and then it'll be 6 p.m., 7 p.m. and it's like I'm incredibly hungry.
Yeah.
Holy fuck! I didn't even realize how much time passed.
You should put some reminders for that too, because it's not good for your metabolism to like.
I'm sure it's not. Music career is not very healthy.
It's really not. Do you know Unknown Mortal Orchestra?
No. What? Was it?
Unknown Mortal Orchestra?
It rings a bell, but no.
It's a solo artist, but he's got a band that helps him write. His name is Ruben Nielsen. Wicked guitarist, plays with like his fingers, but it's like lo-fi indie. There's like really nice chords. Like he'll just like kind of pull you to like the minor 6 and then come back in. Like it's really sick.
Nice.
And then like Jimi Hendrix kind of solos, like fuzzy guitar.
Right.
Really like one of my all-time favorite bands. And like I've done 2 videos of me playing his songs, and he like shares them, and I'm like messaging him and chatting with him on Instagram, and I'm like, he's kind of fucked up. But I was watching one of his lives, and I'm like, this dude is like beloved in the indie lo-fi rock community. Okay. Like the lo-fi musicians that like can play really well. And I'm watching this live stream, and he's playing this slide guitar, and they're like, what is your routine? Like, what do you do? What do you like this and that? Like people are asking him questions about his life. And he's like, it's so weird you guys are asking me, like, what's my diet, my routine? He's like, I'm a guitarist. I don't take care of my body at all. And I was dying of laughter. And I think I might actually, because I was screen recording it because the slide guitar that he was playing sounded so good. I was like, I pray this isn't a song and that this is just like him playing so I can use this
It's just
and
so
sample
it's not copyright.
He released it. And I was like, motherfucker.
Fuck.
That's why he was doing it.
Fuck.
But I was like, what is that about? Like,
well, I think like what I was saying earlier about it being a significant sacrifice. Like, again, maybe I'm just not prioritizing things,
Right.
but like you don't have time to cook. Like I enjoy cooking.
Yeah.
I really enjoy cooking when I have like a second or like some time to make some food. I find that the creative wheel starts spinning the same way as in music, and I like to like.
It's very peaceful.
Yeah,
You're
and it's
seeing everything mold.
Yeah, it's like music in a sense, but like when you don't have time to cook, you go and you grab some fast shit. And it's like
or you just don't eat,
or you don't eat.
Don't forget
Exactly.
what you said, you know?
Exactly. You don't eat, and like, or like, what's worse is you forget to eat, and then you realize at night that you're extremely hungry, and you got to eat now. So
And
you go
eat fast shit.
You eat fast food
In abundance.
Yeah, and it's bad. It's bad. So, but I don't know. I'm hoping that fucking one day it'll pay off, and I won't have to do that. Or maybe I should just take better care of myself and organize my time better. But it's hard because like it's like there's so many. Like right now, there's I've actually I told you I sent one delivery today, so that took one record off my plate. But there's 23 or 24 records open nuts, right now. It's a lot.
Bro.
Thank you. It's a blessing. It's a fucking blessing.
It's
but
great,
it's also it's like I'm noticing now because this is the first time this is happening. Like. Last year I was like working on like 10 to 15 at a certain time, but now that it's over 20, I'm noticing that like my energy isn't as where it should be, and I'm not like it's intentional, but like it's just naturally I'm not giving everything that I have for all of the songs.
For all of it, yeah. You're starting to thin out just due to the quantity.
Yeah, because I'll stress out about, oh my god, I haven't sent a bounce for this artist in a week, or like I haven't sent so I need to do that, and I'm just rushing when I should not be rushing.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah,
like it's just shit I gotta figure out. It's like a learning curve
because it's like you're rushing an art form, right? And it's like there's that whole other conversation too about like, man, like how do I kind of like find this sort of like middle ground, you know?
It's worse when you're trying to be creative and when you're early in the process. It's not as bad when you have the bones and everything is there, and it's just like it becomes, I don't want to say task work, but like task work in the sense that, okay, I understand that this last chorus isn't lifting, so I need to, like we were talking about function, and everything should have a function, and then like, okay, now what's missing is a lift in this last chorus. So and then I can think about that in different terms, like, and it's like as long as I have the tools, which the tools are, you know, rhythm, harmony, melody, sound design, all these things like are at your disposal to achieve a certain thing. So as long as I identify this is a thing I need to achieve, it's like task work in that sense, even though it's not like I enjoy it.
Yeah,
like, I do enjoy it, but
no, I get what you're saying. Like, and it's the thing. It's I think that's the one thing about like when you get to a certain level of sort of any industry,
right?
Relatively speaking of what that level is, there comes a point where like the output that you're able to give in terms of your energy versus what the like quality of delivery is. I feel like there comes a point where you're trying to just like teeter and like, okay, let me make sure like I don't rock the boat too much. Like take this podcast for example. Like I think the last episode I did with Leo was had the great Melvin Murray, the drummer for Texas King. Amazing guy, like one of the greatest dudes. Amazing band. Saw them at the Horseshoe a couple weeks ago with Teenage Kicks. Killer fucking show. A show that I brought my earplugs to.
Nice.
And I was like, I can go to the front of the stage.
Nice.
I'm like, fuck yeah. And we had them on the show. I want to say it was like September-ish. Maybe earlier. No, it was a bit colder outside. So yeah, September, Canadian weather, that shit. And I was like, man, I have all this other shit to do. Like there's all these other things happening, and I'm like, I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna fit in all of this together. And it's like I'm choosing to sleep one of my like projects for a bit and just like put them off. And I'm not saying do this.
Yeah.
Because like this is your income. You know what I mean?
That's the thing that's challenging. It's like it's that, and it's also like what you said before we started recording. I think it's like it's not my shit.
Yeah, it's someone else. You're doing it. You're in service for somebody.
Exactly. So it's like and especially like if someone's gonna pay you money.
Yeah.
Fuck, dude.
Yeah. Exactly.
Don't fuck it up.
Yeah, don't fuck it up for sure.
Yeah, like you better like. I don't know. It's humbling for someone to pay you money that they worked hard for to make a record for them. So it's like, if someone's doing that, I better be on my A game.
And there's levels of like where you place the value in it, because it's like they're paying you to do something that you want to do, which is not a secure industry or job in general. And then they're like open and willing to work and all the things that layers on top, but beneath the iceberg, beneath like the surface level. This is their baby. Like this is their project.
It's their project, and they want it to be fucking amazing.
And it's a representation of themselves.
Yeah.
So they're giving you the trust.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and it's like,
it feels good for people to because all the artists I work with do trust me, which is a good feeling.
Yeah, I think that says a lot about you as a person too.
Well, thank you.
You seem like and I'm just saying, you from the initial first impression, seem like somebody who's trustworthy from the get-go.
Thank you.
Having known you for some time, I know that to be the case.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Of course, brother.
But yeah, like so I think for me, like it's just gonna be figuring out like my ideal work situation, which at the moment I think is impossible, is because I have to work with other people's schedules. Is like I have one artist in for a week or 2 weeks. We get it all done, and I can focus on whatever we're doing.
Yeah, fully devoted.
Yeah, and then the next week or 2 weeks is for somebody else and whatever, and we can get a whole bunch of songs done at that time, and make sure that we're all fully invested in the thing. But the way it has to work now, because other people, the artists, have their own commitments, and they can't just give up a week or 2 weeks of their time. So it's got to be a week, 1 week, one session a week, or max like 2 sessions a week, or if we're like on a time crunch, maybe we'll squeeze in some more. But like that way of working is like I'm much more scatterbrained.
Yeah, because you're jumping multiple you're jumping horizontally and vertically, like you're
it's all over the place.
Yeah.
So like, but again, it's tough because like I can't choose. I can't choose. That has to work with whoever I'm working with schedule, and like you know the money thing. It's like it's income. So like I wish I could at the moment I wish I could focus on like 5 records at a time.
Yeah, but it's like
but then I gotta
revenue.
Pay for my life.
Yeah,
right?
It's like
so it's like
the hard part, man.
So it's a balance of figuring it out that I'm figuring out right now. But again, it's all a fucking blessing. Like it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that's what I'm doing. You know.
And absolutely, and I'm sure the people that work with you appreciate that.
I hope
because there's a lot of times where like someone's getting the opportunities and they're like, fucking right. Like, that's what's supposed to happen, which I get the confidence of it, but then they'll be like, and you owe me more. Right. And I'm like, you lost me there. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, so what would you classify your, like, job description, title, bracket, S bracket? Like, what would you classify it as?
Primarily record producer, but I think what I'm more interested in now is artist development. So beyond producing the records, like helping artists craft their shows and helping them like in rehearsal, like bring the show to life, and like how, like if they have a band, like how the band's going to interact with one another, that kind of stuff. Also like I don't really charge money for I kind of just do this, like, I guess goodwill for anyone that's paying me to make a record. But like if they have questions about music and like they want to learn how to play piano, play guitar, like I'll be like, let's get on FaceTime. Let's do it, and let's go through some chords. Like I'll teach them their songs,
so
that they can play them and accompany themselves. And I'm just such a big music nerd that I love talking about music all the time, that it's never going to be boring for me. So if you want to talk about music, we're going to talk about music, and it's not going to stop.
Well, we've done that a few times before even coming on here.
Before this.
Yeah.
So so like I'll talk to I'll do FaceTime sessions with like guitar lessons, kind of,
right,
or piano lessons or whatever, and also I'll help guide artists towards certain things like grants, and because there's a lot more artists are becoming aware of it, but there's enough that don't know about how much money is available.
Yeah.
And there's so much money available. There's Ontario Arts Council, for those listening in Ontario that are making music,
Yes,
there's 3 grants. There's the creation grant, which is about writing and composing. There's the recording, which is taking what you've written and record it. And then there's the production, which is more live production. So if you got to pay band members or for a lighting rig or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Canada Council for the Arts has a few. There's big money, like 60 grand plus, 25 grand for some of those grants. Factor obviously is the big one. And then any local Arts Council might have some music grants wherever you're living, and then SoCan has. So there's so much money available that you just have to apply. So I'll help them do that, and I'll help guide them through. I won't write the whole grant just because I don't have the time, but I'll help guide them. Be like, look, okay, even if you don't get the money, it's wise to do this because you're forced to come up with a business plan. And
that's a huge thing.
Yeah.
Oh my God, man!
Yeah.
I think this is one of the things that a team. Or a label deal or whatever still has its value, but it's a whole other thing too. It's
but by doing all that stuff, by doing all the stuff that the label would do, if there comes a point where you get an offer from a label or any kind of company like that, and you've already done some of the work and you know what it takes, then you'll know what's a good deal and what's a bad deal. Because if you don't have any experience doing that, and a label swoons you a little bit, you'll probably be like, I know enough artists that are just ready to just bite because they're desperate.
Yeah, right. They just want that. They want that funnel. They want
the easy way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but there is value in a label still or if especially independent labels that do all this grant writing for you and that are gonna promise you some stuff. But sorry to cut you off there.
No, you're making a good point though. It's true, and I find it's this thing with artists. It's do I just focus on my craft and my art?
It's the challenge,
and then it ends up being 1/8 of all the things you gotta do to bring it back to that very first portion of the work. Yeah, you're making all the music, and you're like, okay, great, I made my record. Yeah, and you're like, you tell me that was the tutorial before the campaign in the video game. There's so much more shit to do. It's there's a lot more shit to do.
There's a lot of stuff to do, but you can take it as there's so much shit to do, or you can take it as look at all there's so many skills that I can learn,
and look how this can become better.
Exactly.
And sustainable.
Yeah, exactly. So and you are a brand at the end of the day. As an artist, you're a brand, so you have to create to create a brand. What I've gathered is you have to create a culture, a community, and an experience around the music that you're making in order to sell it or to start a business.
That's a fucking TikTok reel short. Whatever the fuck.
That's a little soundbite
right there, man. That's important shit.
Yeah, straight up.
Community, culture, experience.
Yeah, if you can nail those experience, you can think about online experience, but really it's the live shows is the experience.
It always directs to that. It's I find it's like a normal triangle. You have your music, all that stuff, your merchandise, or
if people like
content,
what they hear,
music, merch, and then the live show.
There's a lot of people, especially in the post-COVID era, if we're there, people are just making music and releasing music, which is fine. But at a certain point, if you hope for it to work out and take off and become your career and your source of income, at a certain point, if people like it, which they have to if you're going to make a living, they're going to want to see you perform. So that's the danger of the TikTok's viral hits is if you make a TikTok, if you don't have any experience performing, which is a lot of people now that are just making music, which is fine, but if you don't have that experience and you have a TikTok go fucking stupid viral, and you're not ready for the stage, you could blow the whole fucking thing by just eating shit on stage.
And this is the thing, and it's if if you have this viral TikTok and then you hit the stage and it just doesn't, the audience doesn't receive it the way they receive that TikTok, then that's
who you are now. You're that guy.
To that group of people.
Right.
And this the thing is, it's like the bigger the amount of exposure and engagement, the like deeper pit you could fall in. Because it's like, if you have a semi-viral fucking TikTok, like 1,000 likes, and then you play a show to 10 people, it's not as big a deal.
Yeah. But the expectations are fucking high. If you have millions of fucking...
You got like 5 million views and 2 million likes, and it's like condensed into one geographical location. You know, like Toronto man's kind of thing. Like, who's that guy that goes around... He makes fun of like Gary Vee and all those dudes. Do you make content?
Neva Naz? That guy's so fucking funny. I recorded him a couple of times.
Oh shit, did you really?
Yeah.
So like my thing is like imagine...
one time.
True.
Yeah. I edited his vocals for some like parody songs.
Oh, nice. Hey, dope. Like imagine like he's doing all this to become a stand-up comic.
Yeah.
And he's really great on the street.
Yeah.
But then he gets to the stage and it bombs. It's like, ooh, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's like it does this. Like the zero is here, but it fucking, you know. So
but he's killing it though. I don't know how much you follow him, but he's fucking awesome.
I see him from time to time, but I don't follow him.
His Gary Vee impression is so funny, dude.
Yeah, that's where
Gary Vee is awesome. Do you listen to Gary Vee?
Yes and no. I hear Gary Vee, but everybody on the internet I take with a grain of salt. Doesn't matter who they are.
Right.
Like on every conversation, I try and hear both sides.
Yeah.
Because it's my brain needing to like quantify both. Yeah. You know, not be one-sided. But I take everything that everybody says with a grain of salt for the most. Like Gary Vee.
As you should.
You know, like there's a lot of smart things that he says. I think his best advice and experience.
Advice is dangerous in general.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a better word.
Yeah.
Because it's hard. Gary Vee's career is not going to be my career, even if I follow all of his fucking rules or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think his best thing to offer is like the uproot kind of story, like taking your dad's business, doing that kind of thing. But
I appreciate the sentiment of what he's saying and like the pushing like self-awareness and
exactly.
And also like not giving a fuck about what other people think, which is very hard.
100%. Yeah, I think people need more of that. And to me that's like punk in my brain.
Yeah, it's so
but
punk. It's the essence of punk.
The whole, you know, what does he do? The garage sale.
Like, yeah, advice to make money. Like, whenever anyone's telling you how to make money, it's like, that. First of all, that's definitely not for me. I'm not going to go on Saturdays to garage sales
I think,
and flip shit. Like, that's not my life.
My issue with it is people's, what I think people are misinterpreting it as. And I'm not claiming to be, like, to know.
Right.
I just think, like, his whole thing of that is not saying to actually go and flip fucking play school toys from a garage sale. It's just that there's money to be made in the world so long as you put the effort. Yeah. That's the whole point.
Yes.
He's just using a really extreme example.
And the like the benefit of like our time now and the digital tools available to us, like Facebook and Instagram, like the tools are here now for you to find the people that like your music. It's not will people like my music? It's where are they?
Where are they? Yeah, exactly.
Because you can find them. Like you can make shit ass music that people will fucking love.
Dude, I was looking at my location information, like where people are listening to the music, and I've gotten on a couple like, you know, Submit Hub playlists and stuff like that. And there's like 3 to 5 listeners in fucking Ukraine or Bulgaria,
crazy, or
Mexico, and like different parts of the US and shit. And I'm like, again, to the very early part, let's say the first quarter of our conversation, like, do you want to ship CDs to Hungary?
No.
Do you even want to fucking make them? Like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, pick your poison. The devil you know is better than the devil you don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So tell the audience how they can find you, and if there's any musicians that are looking for somebody to either help develop their music, whether it be the brand as a whole or the music itself, tell the audience how they can find you.
Well, Instagram is like pretty much the only thing. So you can find me on Instagram at J Karkar. That's JKARKAR. And you know, if you're interested in making music or putting a show together or whatever, you know, just send me a DM. I should probably have a website now, but
I was about to ask, so I'm glad you said it, not me. That would have been weird.
I don't have a website, but also like I'm like maybe I should do it, but also do people give a fuck? Because it's like When's the last time you went on someone's website?
The Instagram is the website.
That's what I'm saying.
You know, and
So-
the other artists, like if I'm looking for a producer and I'm gonna find your
Yeah.
case studies. Those
Yeah.
case studies
Exactly.
represent.
Yeah, exactly.
your
And Instagram, like I have like in my bio thing, a link to like playlists of the records that I've produced and shit.
Nice.
So
That's
if you want
smart.
to check that out, that's all there. But yeah, that's it. You know, it's super simple. Just J Karkar on the gram.
Fuck yeah, J
Yeah.
Karkar on the gram. bro.
J
On
Karkar
God.
on the gram.
That's dope as fuck. Well, thank you so much for today, man. Thank you for coming down to
Yeah,
the studio.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, likewise. I've
Yeah.
been looking forward to this conversation for
Same.
like a month and a
Couple
bit
months or
now.
something. Yeah, exactly.
so
me too.
It's dope to start off the year for the podcast show on a very strong note.
Fuck yeah.
And you got your coaster, and I'm like able to give these coasters out again to peeps. So
Can't wait
yeah,
to use
man.
it.
Thank you so much, everybody listening to the podcast. Thank you guys as always. I
Yes, thank
appreciate
you.
you. Make sure you check out Jon Karkar on Instagram, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode.
Fuck yeah. Thank you.
See you later, y'all. Take care.